Good morning. It's my privilege to be on the panel of speakers in this international webinar on urban farming, mushroom cultivation. I am very pleased to extend my sincere thanks to the Vice Chancellor of Sri Venkateswara University, Tirupati, and Professor G. Sudarsanam, Head of the Botany, for inviting me and giving me a chance to speak in this webinar. Let me introduce myself. I am Mr. Vijay Kaw, basically an agriculture graduate, and I had my research and thesis work on mushrooms in my post-graduation course in plant pathology. After a successful journey of 30 plus years of my experience in mushroom trainings, research, and industry, I am presently working as a mushroom grower and an independent consultant for promoting the mushroom industry and helping the mushroom growers and the prospective startup mushroom projects in India for commercial and successful growing of the mushrooms. Now, my topic today is the possibilities and challenges in commercial mushroom growing. As we all know, that mushroom growing has been in vogue for the past 4 decades in India, and throughout the world, it has taken exceptionally the forerunner in the cultivation process and the in the front of the mushroom growing on advanced these industries. And in introduction, I will be detailing about little aspects of mushroom growing, then mushroom cultivation scenario in India and the world, and what are the future possibilities of mushroom growing in India and the possible challenges and strategies. As we all know that urban agriculture is a key solution to the rapid population growth, urbanization, food security, and climate change. The challenges in the traditional agriculture by way of shrinking arable land, the poor soil health conditions, the attack of disease and pests, and the effect of global warming has resulted in the lower economic returns. So over a period of time, there's a paramount importance and the need to shift to the urban farming, and that too in specific areas like mushroom cultivation for sustainable and environment friendly ways of farming. And mushroom farming is one of the areas which befits in this category. As we all know that mushroom is an indoor activity and does not require much of the land, and the vertical space can be utilized for getting more production per unit area. So the effectiveness of recycling of agriculture waste, which is abundantly present in our country, gives a very good potential for this industry to set up. So, and then on the basis of the health benefits of mushroom, let us see that the recent pandemic has thrown a pragmatic shift as far as the health of the individuals is concerned. And the supplements or the food nutrition is one of the primary sources of maintaining good health in a society. So mushrooms, owing to their known benefits of health, can be a boon in the coming times to help in wellness of the general masses, as they can provide many diseases, psychosomatic disease like cholesterol, BP, or sugar can be maintained by eating mushrooms. And it's a good source of protein, very rich in minerals, very rich in iron, and good for the overall health of the people who consume it. The known fact of anti-cancer agents present in the mushrooms is an added advantage to fight such dreaded diseases. And overall, the immunomodulatory functions of the mushrooms is one of the prime factors that can contribute towards its health benefits in general. So mushrooms definitely are going to prove as a health food and a future food for each and every one of us. Now coming to the commercially grown mushrooms in India and the worldwide, the white button mushrooms holds the prime growing mushrooms in the world and in India as well. In India, the white button mushrooms contributes around 73% of the total mushrooms grown, followed by oyster mushrooms, which contributes around 16%, and then paddy straw mushrooms contributing around 7%. And there's a shift of growing to some other kinds of mushrooms like portabella or shiitake, which contributes around 4%. And it is still in the state of infancy in India. While the production of mushrooms has enormously increased worldwide, the major producing countries in the world, as we all know, that China dominates on this scene and produces more mushrooms than the other world leaders. The China has got more production and more consumability, followed by USA, then Germany, and then some European countries. Then India is lagging behind both in production and consumption. India hardly produces 0.18 million tons of mushrooms, and the average growth rate of 4.3% has been achieved from per annum from the year 2010 to 17, and a per capita consumption of meager 30 to 40 grams is observed in India presently. The domestic demand is growing now with the changing times, and there has been a marginal shift of growing of mushrooms in India now as well. As we can see that in the 60s, it started in the state of Himachal Pradesh, and then started spreading to the adjoining states of Punjab, Haryana, J&K. And now, with the pragmatic shift in the past decade, Uttar Pradesh is a leading state in India as far as the production is concerned, and many more production units have established in south like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Orissa, and other states of India, giving it a wide distribution under all seasonal regions of India with its climatic favorability and the availability of raw materials. So under Indian conditions, the mushrooms are going to be a very important segment of the industry in the coming days to come. So as far as the future possibilities of growing mushrooms in India, till now, we can presume that the full potential of mushroom cultivation has to be unleashed in India, because the cultivation practices have been centered on button mushrooms only, which accounts to the 85% of the total production. Even in the button mushrooms, the much of the needed things have not been established, and no proper ways of technology management or the project management has been established till now. Then secondly, we can see that there's a scope of raising the per capita consumption from a meager 30 to 40 grams to the higher levels, thus initiating the production as well as the consumption levels in Indian conditions. Then as far as India is concerned, we can propagate mushroom as a protein-rich food, as a pure vegetarian protein-rich food, and that can substitute in bringing the gap of protein malnutrition to a large sections of the society. This protein is of very high quality protein, and this can be of a very important thing in bridging the malnutrition of the countries like India and other nations as well. So on that front, there is a future possibility of getting the protein-rich diet from such mushroom crops. Then there is a need for establishing R&D centers for mushroom technology suited to Indian conditions. Till now, the technologies have been adopted and used in the other developed countries, and India is just gaining access to such technologies or modifying it to its own environmental and the economical conditions. But now we need to have an R&D centers in India wherein the technologies can be assessed and they can be put to the optimum use under our own conditions, both in terms of their suitability and the economic conditions. Then mushrooms can provide a future of wellness and health food also, as we have discussed that there's an array of food elements that are present, food elements that are present in the mushrooms, which can benefit our health, and so many pharmaceutical nutrients are also available in mushrooms, which can cater to our health and wellness. Then along with the domestic market, which still India needs to develop on a priority basis, there is a need to compete with the export market also, as the Indian mushrooms can find a place in the export for earning a value of export and the foreign reserves as well. And this is the possibilities of the mushroom growing can now be seen from the view of the employment generation and the revenue generation as well, because new area of employment generation, both in rural and the urban areas, can be seen from this highly sustainable and a very economical activity of agro business. Now coming to the challenges and the strategies. In India, frankly speaking, this sector has not been so organized till now, and the inconsistent supply of raw materials, maybe for composting or in respect of spawn or casing materials, have not been achieved till now. The inconsistent supply of raw material affects the production capacities and the production technologies for optimum results. So this sector needs to be organized so that the input supplies like raw materials like composting, like wheat straw or poultry manure or the gypsum, so many things can be supplied both in respect of their quality parameters and the quantity parameters. Then secondly, we can see that since mushroom is an indoor activity and all the environmental parameters have to be modified to our best, so high project costs are throwing a very challenging challenges in the present times. Now the infrastructural cost, the cost of machinery and equipments, the raw material costs, the labor and the running costs are really a challenge in the industry and which needs to have the different strategies at different levels to cope up with such high cost values. Then most important in mushroom industry is the lack of trained manpower and mushroom pickers. Training and the trained man staff is very important for any industry to survive. Since mushroom industry is still not in the advanced stage of growth in India, we have lack of trained manpower to handle many mushroom farms in India, and especially the picking of mushrooms. Picking of fresh mushrooms is a big challenge. Even in the most developing countries in USA and European countries, the mushroom pickers are given due weightage because the mushroom picking is a very laborious job and it is also a technical job. If there's a organized mushroom picking, both the quality and the quantity of mushrooms is achieved to a maximum level, and the success of the farms depends upon such strategies. Then low biological efficiencies obtained in present setup. Whatever kind of composting facility, the growing standards, and the management technologies are available in India, there is a low biological efficiency as 18 to 20% of the compost is achieved. While in the other countries, the very high biological efficiencies ranging from 25 to 35% have been achieved by technology management and the process management. So the economics on account of the low yield values or the biological efficiencies has to be is a major challenge in the setup of the such industries. Then high perishability and lack of value addition. As we know that mushrooms are very highly perishable and almost with negligible storage life or the shelf life. So under Indian conditions, where the temperatures from March onwards till September, October are not favorable for the marketing of the mushrooms, so we have to seek certain value additions for effective marketing and additional support of the mushrooms to see that there's a regulated market and even the product fetches a good value under all conditions of production. So domestic market channels need have an adequate price support because demand and supplies in the market are very detrimental to the mushroom growing industry. Then last and foremost is the uninterrupted power supply and high tariff cost. As we all know that mushroom is a environmental controlled activity and a lot of power is needed to run the machinery, plant, equipment and the air conditioning systems for maintenance of favorable environmental conditions in hot months of the summer or even in the winters. For that, the uninterrupted power supply is a challenging factor, and the usage of electricity on the high tariff costs adds up to the burden of the industry as well. So the guarantee of the uninterrupted power or the good power supplies needs to be ensured for thriving of such industry, and of course the high power tariffs needs to be seen that how it will benefit the this industry will help for such kinds of things in the future. So coming to the challenges and strategies, as we know that India's share in global market trade is minimal, and we are not able to produce even the production up to our levels of usage. So even we cannot export the mushrooms to the other countries of the world. So coordinated efforts among research and development establishments are required to standardize technologies for adoption. Technologies will give a thrust to the growing and coming of more industries, and we can guarantee more mushroom production, productivity with all quality parameters so that our local markets are sufficient and we have an option for the exports as well. Then technology advancement in mushroom composting for enhanced biological efficiency. As we know that compost is of paramount importance in the production of mushrooms, and the technology related to the composting process is also very important. A very selective and high nutritive value compost determines the best efficiency of the mushrooms. So we need to have technologies which will give us the process management for mushrooms to guarantee a good biological efficiency in the long run. And then most important is that the standardization of plant and machinery and cost effective. All the machineries and the equipments used in the commercial mushroom industry standardized and as per the requirements of the Indian conditions and their cost effectiveness. So we should have always this thing in mind that the local machine plant and machinery can suffice better our own Indian conditions because their after sales services and their efficiency can be guaranteed under own Indian conditions. Then the important is that the improvements in the production technologies of oyster shiitake mushroom cultivation. Apart from the vast chunk of button mushroom growing, white button mushroom growing, there's a remarkable field in oyster mushrooms and shiitake mushroom cultivation as well. And previously, oysters or the shiitake mushroom were growing on the logs, and now it has come to the synthetic small bottles or the logs, which has reduced the growing process and given a very consistent and a more yield parameters in such mushrooms. Then diversity in the vast potential of growing herbal health mushrooms. Herbal health mushrooms like Ganoderma, Cordyceps, lion's mane, and the chaga mushrooms are the other opportunities which have got good herbal health benefits, and they need to have given a due value in our this cultivation process as well. Then scope of pharmaceutical purposes. The mushrooms have got some scope for the pharmaceutical purposes, that certain pharmaceutical ingredients can be achieved by mushrooms, and this will give an immense opportunities in the global trade as well. Then on the other fronts, that India needs to adopt high yielding and genetically enhanced varieties in spawn production. Then spawn production is one of the vital areas in mushroom, technical mushroom growing. And we need to have this quality spawn with genetically enhanced varieties, which will ensure a very good yielding capacity under our all Indian conditions and setups. The innovative solutions are required to address the challenges in processing and packaging of mushroom with efficient logistics support. So what I mean to say that innovative solutions in processing, because processing or the post-harvest of mushrooms is very important, because the fresh mushrooms and their logistics supports, packaging, all will contribute towards an efficient way of transporting the mushrooms to the consumer and with all quality parameters. So it is very important that whatever the process parameters or add-on values in the processings and the packagings for efficient marketing of the mushrooms has to be achieved, and the all logistic supports have to be provided for better this marketing facilities. Thank you very much.